Have you ever wondered if you could beat Wizard City by only using Lost Souls? No? Just me? Well, I can see that look in your eye. I know you're interested now. So sit back and get cozy, because I'm going to tell you a story about a wizard who could only use Lost Souls. Obviously, first I have to make the wizard, and I chose the School of Myth. That's for a specific reason, so I'm going to explain that a bit later on, but just know that Myth is an important school for what I'm doing. I got my wizard some drip, you know, that Gucci, that Louis. We got that Bape.
What the hell?
But nah, if I'm being honest, I'm a banana. If you know the reference, you know, we'll just leave it at that. Basically, I made a ton of Lost Soul summon TCs, and we're just gonna see if these Lost Soul summon TCs can complete all of Wizard City. The rules to it are as simple as they can be. The only thing that can deal damage is the Lost Souls. So I can do whatever I want as long as I'm not using a hit. So basically the end goal is the Lost Souls doing all of the damage and completing Wizard City with that. So we start off with some ghost on ghost action. This is as close to a hate crime as you're gonna get in Wizard101. This is as basic as it gets. I just have to spawn in the Lost Soul and then he pretty much just one-shots the other Lost Soul. But the Lost Souls really don't have that many spells. They have Frost Beetle, Imp, Thunder Snake, and then their natural attack. And no joke, I really thought that the Lost Souls had like every single school's 1-pip starter spell. I don't know why. That can't just be me though, right? Like, I thought it just made sense, or at least for them to have Dark Sprite, because they're death, right? But now, I have to go help Lady Oriole get back her cult.
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny?
No, literally, I don't know what else you would call that. Like, I mean, maybe it's her children? I see it as a cult, though. However, she is the owner of the weakest cult in the game, because even when they're corrupted, there's still no match for my Lost Souls. But now, I have to put an end to the gang war between the skeletons and the fairies by beating up Rattlebones. And come on now. Rattlebones is like older than Merle Ambrose. Like, come on, man. He stands no chance against my Lost Souls. I forgot to mention this, but Lady Oriole gave me her big, long, hairy broomstick, but she only let me ride on it for one day, so the next day I got on, it was gone. But honestly, that's okay, because I didn't want Merle Ambrose getting jealous either way. Ambrose hooked me up with Golem Minion, which I can't really use, and is technically better than the Lost Souls, but that's besides the point. The Lost Souls are closer to my heart, and that's what really counts. You can also see I got myself a pet. Rattlebones hooked me up with that after I beat him. He just had a stash of the sprites chilling in his basement, so he just let me take one. It was the uncorrupted edition though, so you know, it's not really as rare. And now we have to go talk to the potato head himself, Cyrus Drake. But you know, he wasn't always bald. Bro might have been the sexiest in the spiral back then, I'm not gonna lie. And with all of that done, now, we can start going on to the 3 streets. I start off by having to help this kid deal with his problems. Like, come on, man. You're all decked out in your Stitch gear. You probably got some better stats than me. Like, why can't he just do this by himself? But you know, that gave me an idea. So after I beat up a couple of those trolls, I went straight to the bazaar and I went to buy some gear. I sold everything I got from my other fights, and I was mainly looking for gear that like just gave me more health, since like my damage doesn't really matter since I'm not using any hits anyways. I ended up switching up the color scheme. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of look like a death wizard, but I was mainly trying to like match my pet, but you know, that didn't really work out. I should have made the trim yellow, to be honest. But now with all of the gear that I bought, that brought me up to a whopping 647 health, which, you know, isn't really that bad. Like, I shouldn't be worried about dying in these regular mob fights anymore. But now Big Man over here is trying to pull a fast one on me, making me go tell Cyrus Drake his problems so that he doesn't get in trouble. I'm not even phased though, cause like every extra day I get to see Cyrus is a better day in my book. But now even Cyrus is finessing me. Bro's making me go get his laundry for him. And let's be honest, this happens way too much in this game, bro. Our wizards just get used by literally every single NPC. But now I have to go back with helping the Nolan dude save his friends. And right here against this Cyclops is the first battle where I have to use more than one lost soul. So what ends up happening is my lost soul ends up doing enough damage for the Cyclops to retarget onto him. And then obviously since the Cyclops doesn't die yet, I have to spawn in another lost soul so the next lost soul can actually kill him. This isn't the case for every battle with mobs that have a bunch of health, but it does happen in some of the fights. And now I'm almost done with Cyclops Lane. I just have to beat a couple of these Minotaurs. And if I'm being honest, they actually are kind of annoying because they take like 3 or 4 hits from the lost souls to actually die. And that's just because the health on the mobs are increasing, obviously, since we're getting deeper into the game. But now comes our first real boss battle against General Achilles. I went in kind of blind on this run, not really like having a plan of what I was gonna do. So inside my deck, I just had my lost souls inside my TC deck, and then in my main deck, I mainly just had heals. But the problem with this boss fight is that there's 2 of them. They have a bunch of health, and then they end up retargeting onto the lost soul before he can kill one of them. And then since they deal so much damage, I have to be constantly healing myself as well, so I can't always summon in another lost soul. So eventually I just end up dying in this run. But before going in and trying again, I had an idea, so I went over to this Sabrina chick because I remember that she sells the -80 shields. But then I checked and you have to be level 10 to get those, and I was only level 6, so there was an issue there. But then I just decided I could buy some of the treasure card shields from the bazaar, but the only issue with this is that they are pretty expensive. And you can see that I'm pretty low on gold, so I was like buying those sparingly. But I do end up buying 3 of those, and now I'm ready to go back in and take on General Achilles again. And this time, since I had the -80 shields, General Achilles and his minion couldn't deal as much damage to me. They use some off-school hits that aren't myth, but they don't do that too often, so I wasn't too worried, to be honest. And you guys might remember at the start of the video that I told you that I chose the School of Myth for a specific reason. So you can see on the screen right now that I already have 1 lost soul summoned in the battle. And with any other school, if you were to summon in another minion, it would be able to summon in, obviously, but it would get rid of the minion that you already have in the battle. But if you're the School of Myth and you're using Monstrology summon treasure cards, you can spawn in as many summon TCs that fit in the battle. So now I have 2 lost souls up with both of them attacking General Achilles, and not only does that increase the damage per round, but it also gives me more rounds to save up my pips for me to heal myself if General Achilles still targets onto me. So after only dying 1 time to General Achilles, I was able to beat him the 2nd time, and he ended up giving me the best drop in the game, 100%. And after finishing Cyclops Lane, I only had to do this with 2 more streets in Trident Avenue and Firecat Alley. However, I'm not going to make you guys sit through all of the fights in these 2 streets. I'm just going to go straight to the boss fights in both of them. Now with the Harvest Lord fight, I went to the dungeon beforehand. I didn't enter the battle, but I wanted to see exactly what schools were inside of the fight. There was the Harvest Lord, obviously, which is fire, and then one of the Storm Rotted Fodders. So I went straight to the bazaar. I got myself some of those ice set shields. I was setting against the Harvest Lord like it was a PvP match, but bro, it's needed. These are both of the 2 strongest schools. If they can get off their hits freely without any shields, that would be horrible. But then I end up doing the same thing that I did in the General Achilles fight. I end up getting up 2 lost souls, and that means I'm getting a bunch more damage per round. But for some reason in this fight, they just kept fizzling. Like, you know, it might be the karma for me setting. I never thought about that. King Zao knew I set, and they're like, we're not gonna let your lost souls power anything. They were just like fizzling way more than usual in this fight. I don't know why, but they easily beat the Harvest Lord, and that meant I only had to finish up Firecat Alley now. But I did the exact same thing that I did with the other 2 bosses. I went straight to the bazaar and I bought myself some of those fire set shields. And in this fight, Alakane Swift Arrow and his minion the Magma Man are both fire, so I was able to get the 85% shields. But like I did in my past 2 fights, I got up both of my lost souls and just let them go crazy. This fight somewhat had me scared though, cause Mr. Swift Arrow over here kept using Fire Elf on me, and since I was using those 80% shields, obviously Fire Elf is an overtime, So he was still getting a decent amount of damage through my shield. But still, my Lost Souls didn't have any major issues with this fight. We were able to beat him pretty easily. And now with all 3 of the streets being done, we were super close to finishing up Wizard City. I only had 2 major fights left, the first one being Foul Gaze. And for this boss fight, I actually completely forgot to get any set shields at all. So I just went in completely blind. I still got up both of my Lost Souls. And after you get up at least 2 Lost Souls, they start doing so much damage and like you're pretty much set. As long as they don't fizzle, they can kill the boss in like 2 or 3 rounds. So I was able to beat Foul Gaze without having to use any set shields, which honestly did surprise me. But with Foul Gaze being defeated, that meant that we finally made it to the final boss in Lord Nightshade. This time I was smart enough to go and get some set shields because I knew this fight was going to be difficult if I didn't have any. I spammed all of my set shields and got up 2 of my Lost Souls again. But then something I realized, I was looking at the health on both of them. And if you look at the Field Guard's health, he has close to the same health as the past bosses that I've been facing. Like General Achilles, the Harvest Lord, and Alacane Swift Arrow all had pretty similar health to the Field Guard. And he's also a Storm minion, so he's dealing a ton of damage with his hits. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of scared. I got down to some pretty low health in this fight. But in the end, Lord Nightshade was no match for my Lost Souls. And then I thought that was the final fight, but then they made me go talk to this Daisy chick over here. And she made me have to collect some pumpkin heads, so I don't know if I accidentally picked up a side quest. I don't think so though, because I didn't have any other quests inside my bag, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I collected those pretty quick, and finally we were done with Wizard City. So in the end, the Lost Souls were able to beat Wizard City. In total, I ended up summoning around 64 Lost Souls. But that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do this with like Crocotopia, because I do still have this wizard. And I could see if like the Manders or the Crocs could be all of Crocotopia, because I'm pretty sure there is Extract Mander as a spell. I'm pretty sure at least. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.